A few days ago, when former President Donald Trump was coming out of the session, the hearing with courts in Florida, he stopped and said in a rally, apparently some sort of campaign event. He mentioned, Venezuela, and he said that his intention, when he was in power, had been to make Venezuela collapse, and that if that had taken place, not only would Venezuela have collapsed, but he would have been able to get his hands on our oil, and the U.S. would now have all that oil for itself. This mentality uh, of trying to take over the resources of our countries is I think the real origin of the unilateral coercive measures against Venezuela. But I think there's also an important issue is that agreements such as ALBA and policies such as the ones that revolutionary governments such as the ones in Cuba and Nicaragua have put into place are also a source of concern, of worry to the US, because this is the proof that a socialist model can be effective in doing specifically what the capitalist model cannot do. The capitalist model in the United States, for example, cannot claim to have overcome poverty, cannot claim to have overcome literacy, cannot claim to have massively covered, healthcare problems. So what the unilateral coercive measures do, or are aiming to do in our countries, is specifically hurt those things that we were able to consolidate under socialist policies. In the case of Venezuela in particular, uh, blocking Venezuela's possibility of using its main resource, main source of income, which is oil, affects not only the state and the structure of the state, which is finances, but it also the measures have also blocked the possibility of providing everything from food that we used to import, medicines or supplies, medical supplies that we used to need as well, uh, as and also things such as spare parts for companies that, for example, the water company, the electrical company, all these companies, were built on U.S. or foreign companies uh, under material. So these companies can't, because of the sanctions, they can't come and uh, give us spare parts or update or do maintenance on the equipment. So that ends up hurting the way we provide public services for the population. Again, it's all aimed at destroying the model that was successfully carrying out, development and progress for us. That's not to say they achieved in destroying that model. As a matter of fact, it has made us more creative. We have had to find other ways and other allies, and and again, the principle of cooperation and collaboration was essential for us to face challenges. During the pandemic, for example, Venezuela was blocked in a way that we had enough money at the beginning of the pandemic in our bank accounts in other countries, so that we could purchase enough vaccines to vaccinate the whole population, uh, uh, from the start. However, those assets belonging to the Venezuelan people were frozen by the U.S. measures. And if it were not for the solidarity of Cuba, which their vaccines, which again, we have to think about how amazing and heroic it is that the people of Cuba, despite the blockade against them, were able to develop this remarkable scientific product of vaccines in Cuba, Well, if it was not for the solidarity of Cuba and other countries such as Russia and China that helped Venezuela obtain vaccines, we would still be waiting for the possibility of even purchasing, having the money, but being that money being frozen, we would still need that help to purchase vaccines for our population, and the results would have been probably catastrophic during the pandemic. This is to point out that sanctions are criminal. These sanctions amount to collective punishment. This is a crime against humanity, as is recorded under international law. And again, the idea is that under this pressure that is placed on our countries, we would change our form of government. We would change our policies. We would even, overthrow our leaders. That's the real aim, so that people like Trump can come and say, now we can take over Venezuelan oil and Venezuelan resources. I think it is important that we see that it is the principles of cooperation and solidarity that really can defeat this type of aggression. Is what has helped us stay strong. But the affectation is not little. The affectation has been very strong. Venezuela not being able to provide energy through oil exports as it used to before has definitely hurt other countries in the whole Caribbean and Central American region, as we see, from the testimonies of our ambassador and our minister from sisters Nicaragua and Cuba. It is true that it has made things more unstable, and it's funny that the United States now would say that there's threats or there's problems stemming out from migration, when precisely the use of sanctions that exacerbate economic problems in our region also serve as an incentive for people to migrate. So in a sense, promoting the instability of countries such as Venezuela, attacking programs that help stabilize the economies of the region of the Caribbean, like Petrocaribe, are actually contributing to precisely what apparently U.S. lawmakers don't want, which is further increase in migration. See, this is a vicious circle that is aimed again at goals that were drawn from the Cold War mentality, and not from a reasonable relation that the United States should have with the rest of the region. I think it is important that people in the United States realize that it would be very different if their government would be doing something to promote understanding, respect, mutual cooperation, rather than place this aggression over our peoples. Venezuela, and with this I finish, Venezuela has lost about $232 billion in lost income since that maximum campaign pressure from Trump. Over 930 measures have been issued against us. Everything from not only the sanctions themselves, but over compliance as well. Because see, the sanctions regime is basically a terror regime towards everyone involved. Companies that feel they don't want to sell food or medicine to our countries because they fear retaliation in the United States with their business. So it becomes this whole scheme of terrorism really against our peoples and our country. Thank you.